Hi all, welcome to this live showcase of the latest updates to our NeSL suite. While most of you on this call already know exactly who we are and what we are about, there are a few new faces here, so I'll spend 30 seconds just explaining who we are. So Leegality is a document infrastructure platform. What this means is that we provide Indian businesses the ability to completely reinvent their document processes in a fast, easy, compliant, and digital way. And naturally, for Indian banks and NBFCs, for us to be a natural partner, we also need to provide a fast and easy way for banks and NBFCs in India to use the government's NeSL service. And that's the subject of today's webinar. So in today's showcase, we'll be covering 4 specific updates to the Leegality NeSL suite. The first is a new feature that allows you to incorporate maker-checker flows in your NeSL journeys. The second is a feature set to fully make your bank guarantee process completely digital using NeSL's EBG service. The third is a way to use NeSL for non-lending documents as well. And the fourth is a set of 2 updates to our API that helps make your API integrations with the NeSL suite much easier. Right? I'm delighted to be joined today by the brains behind the updates we will be discussing today, Anshul and Ronak, both of whom are product managers here at Leegality. They were both directly involved in these updates, and they will actually show you the live demo as well. At the end, they will also be available for any questions you may have. Now, before diving into these 4 very specific updates, let me just quickly recap the Leegality NeSL suite again for people here who either use us but not for NeSL, or people who are completely new to Leegality on this call. This will just take 2 minutes before we dive straight into the demos, right? So the government NeSL service is not just a single module, right? It's over the years, it's evolved into 6 distinct sets of APIs. Now, with the Leegality NeSL suite, Indian banks and NBFCs can just plug in or integrate with NeSL simply through one simple integration or implementation with Leegality, right? So without the Leegality NeSL suite, you would actually need to perform 6 distinct integrations, test 6 integrations, and more importantly, maintain all these integrations for as long as they are live. And I don't need to tell you in the audience how hard it is to get an in-house IT team to do even one API integration, let alone 6. Right. So with the NeSL suite, we've designed it to help you overcome this problem. You don't need to bother or stress yourself about 6 different projects. We pre-integrated with all of NeSL's APIs and have packaged it for you in a fast and easy to use way. Right. So through a single platform, you get access to the entire range of NeSL capabilities, from the standard NeSL DDE for eSign and eStamp to the latest NeSL EBG flow that we're going to show you in this session today. But beyond this, we've also realized that features are just not enough, right? The main challenge in banks and NBFCs is actually coordinating with internal teams to actually go live and actually scale up usage of the product. It's not features, it's actually the last mile usage that is the biggest challenge in banks and NBFCs. So we've tried to solve for this in 2 ways through the NeSL suite, right? One, we've created India's first front end for NeSL, right? This is not just a cosmetic visual dashboard where you can click a few buttons, right? This is a comprehensive portal where your entire team or organization can manage and set up the entire NeSL implementation. So this means you can go live with NeSL without having to do even a single integration. Even if you had to do an integration, it's just much easier because the business teams can manage it centrally through the dashboard, right? In fact, a lot of our NeSL customers are choosing to go live with the dashboard months before their API integration is actually ready, right? So that's one way. The second way is we maintain a dedicated services team. This is not merely a call desk to kind of keep your frustrations at bay. This is a group of dedicated experts with vast experience in helping organizations across Indian BFSI to go live and scale up with digital paperwork. So even if you do need to do that API integration, our services team will make it significantly easier for you. So for a lot of the reasons I mentioned above, we are the gold standard for NeSL use in India today, with about 10 key financial institutions who have already gone live with us for various use cases, and many of whom are on this call today. Granted, many are at different stages of their journey. Some have scaled up their usage already. Some are just in the nascent stages of their Leegality NeSL journey. But our overall directional goal is very clear: to take all these institutions and whoever else comes on board with us to use the Leegality NeSL suite to a default paperless world very fast. Right. So one final thought before we dive in. We are often confused as a mere NESL implementation service or a NESL reseller. We are not, right? NESL is a powerful government technology, but we realize that technology often isn't enough, right? We bridge that gap between the actual benefits of the technology and the last mile usage on the ground in a way that actually drives business results, right? So with the Leegality NeSL suite, not only you getting the core NESL infrastructure, you are also getting layers that make you more compliant, more flexible, allow you new ways of using NESL, and where you don't need your IT tech teams much, right? So that's the recap of NESL. Let's dive into today's four updates, right? So as I said, with we'll be covering four distinct updates today. One is Leegality NeSL Reviewer. The second is NeSL EBG, which is probably our most demanded feature of the last 6 months from banks. Third is Leegality NeSL for non-lending. And fourth is two updates to the Leegality NeSL API. First update we'll show you is the NeSL Reviewer or NeSL Data Reviewer, right? We'll be coming to EBG in about 8-9 minutes after this demo of Reviewer is done. I know a lot of you have come for EBG, but actually Reviewer is a feature that even helps you with your EBG flow as well. Through this feature demo, we'll also be able to give you a glimpse into what that front end that I talked about actually looks like. But first, let's start with a small story, right? So one, it's important to remember that NESL today, and you'll know this better than I, is primarily used for secure loan products, right? What this means is that compliance, security, enforceability are super high priorities for the documentation process for these products because they are naturally of a very high value and they usually have collateral, right? So that's compliance and security are high priorities for documents via NESL on one hand. On the other hand, NESL asks for a lot of data when you are actually sending out these documents via NESL, right? We'll show you exactly how much data in a bit on the dashboard. But they asked this because ultimately NESL has to act as an information utility for all debt in India, essentially a single source of truth for debt. So they need to ask all this data, right? So right now we have two things, right? One is transactions via NESL are super high value, necessitating compliance. Two, NESL asks for a lot of data, right? You have these two things that are prerequisites for an NESL journey. But when you actually combine these two, you actually have a kind of recipe for disaster because on one hand, you can't really afford errors because of the high value of these transactions. But on the other hand, the sheer volume of data that is requested makes errors significantly more likely, right? So one of our clients, a large private bank, shared with us what they do. Right? They told us that the bank member initiating the NESL journey does so through, say, a computer at their desk in office. They then said they assign a separate reviewer, right? And this reviewer actually stands over the initiator physically and literally stands over them to check the entries, right? And they faced obviously a major problem with this. One, the process was too dependent on this reviewer being physically present. So if the reviewer was in a meeting or was on leave, the initiator could not proceed with that transaction, meaning a delay both for the bank and for the customer, right? And remember, there's someone waiting for a loan at the other end. Fundamentally, it's a customer-facing business, right? So this is a competitive risk as well for the bank because any delay can cause you to lose a customer. So it was this very specific yet very key problem that led us to build NESL Reviewer, right? So with NESL Reviewer, your initiator does not actually need to be in the same room physically to review documents. Instead, you can include them as a digital participant completely remotely. Instead of telling you more about this, I'm going to hand it over to Ronit to actually show you how this works on the dashboard on the front end. Over to you, Ronit.
Thank you, Aditya. Hello, everyone. Let us see how you can send an NESL document with a reviewer. I'll be sharing my screen. Yeah, please let me know once my screen is visible.
Yeah, Ronit, it is visible.
All right. So this is the sending journey of Leegality. Let me upload a sample loan agreement. All right, I've uploaded a sample loan agreement over here. I click on next. Now on this particular page, I will configure invitees. First, I will configure one reviewer. Let me add my own email address. And let me switch this invitee card to a reviewer card by clicking on the make reviewer icon. So now this particular invitee card is a reviewer. I should also add my mobile number to just show you how a reviewer can get a message on WhatsApp, a message to review a document. All right. Next, I'll be adding NESL invitees. The first one being a borrower. I'm changing the signature type to NESL. And the second NESL invitee being a creditor. Again, changing the signature type to NESL. Now that I've added 3 invitees, one is a reviewer, the second is an NESL signer as the borrower, and third is also an NESL signer as a creditor, I shall go to the NESL form. All right. I'm just adding an expiry for this particular invitation. Okay. Now let us take a look at the NESL form. As you can see, the NESL form contains a lot of data points which need to be collected from the sender. There's details on the loan, the document itself, loan number, sanction number, rate of interest. There's details on stamp, which is the first party, second party, the stamp duty amount, and there are also details on both NESL signers, the borrower and the creditor. So we have a quick way to add this information using an Excel file. Anshul will be explaining this in detail in some time, but for now, let me upload an Excel to populate all of these fields very quickly. I upload an Excel and I click on upload. Now, as you can see, all of my data is populated, and I click on submit form. After uploading an Excel as a sender of a document, I do my due diligence and check the stamp duty amount and a few other details. After which I click on submit and I send out this document. All right. After sending this document, I, as a reviewer, uh, must have received a message on WhatsApp. So let me just open up WhatsApp. All right. So I've received this. Greetings, reviewer. Sender has requested you to review a document, sample loan agreement. Please click on the review button below the review, before it expires. So I shall click on review document. And this is the page that opens up. Let's just take a look at the review journey from an actual reviewer's perspective, and a reviewer will be able to review using their mobile screen. So let's take a look at this journey on a mobile screen. Um, so I first review the document, and after reviewing the document, I click on proceed. Now in this section, I get to review the details of the loan. These are the form fields which have been filled by the sender. I can review stamp duty amount. I can review the consideration price. I can review other details of the document of the NESL form. I can also easily navigate in between sections by clicking on this icon and just clicking on the section where I want to navigate. So after navigating, let's say there is an error in stamp duty amount, and I want to flag it. So I don't want this document to go forward to NESL. So I click on proceed. I do a basic authentication, which I also get on WhatsApp. So let me just copy this OTP. I paste it over here. I click on proceed. Okay. And now I'm rejecting this particular document because there was an error in the stamp duty amount. So when I click on reject and click on proceed, I get an option to provide a rejection reason. So over here, I can provide a rejection reason. Stamp duty should be rupees 100 instead of rupees 10. And I reject this document. All right. So my review process is completed. After my review process as a reviewer is completed, I get a WhatsApp notification saying that your rejection has been recorded and you just rejected a loan agreement. Now, this is a message that I, as a reviewer, am getting. Even the sender of this document will get a message, will get an email notification which says that the reviewer has rejected the document, and they will also get the message, the rejection message which had been typed. So stamp duty should be rupees 100 instead of rupees 10. At this point, I know uh, what error as a sender I've made and what needs to be rectified. So this was a rejection flow. Let us quickly take a look at a flow where I can approve the document. So I review this particular document, I click on proceed, I review all details which have been filled by the sender, and I proceed. Then I do a quick authentication. And I approve this document. Click on the checkbox and click on approve. And this document has been approved. Now this document will be sent out to the borrower and to the creditor for e-signing via NeSL.
So Ronit, just to be clear, just a question we often receive is you can basically block it from going to the signer unless the reviewer has actually given the approval. Like you can
Correct, correct.
hard code that logic essentially in the flow. Like
Yes,
the reviewer cannot be technically bypassed.
yes, yes.
Right. And the second question is this review rejection request. In an API flow as well, does the sender still need to go into their email or their WhatsApp or their SMS to actually see the request, or is there a way to pass that message via API as well?
In the API flow, the sender will still receive a notification on their email stating that their
Right.
request has been rejected.
Got it. But is there a way to pass the message itself uh, via API, the rejection request?
They the rejection request via API, there can be a webhook notification which is triggered upon
Understood.
rejection.
Understood. Great. Thanks so much, Ronit,
Okay.
for the demo.
Yeah. Also, a
Yeah,
few other capabilities of the NeSL Reviewer. Aditya, if you could share your screen to the NeSL Reviewer deck.
sure.
Yeah. So the maker checker flow can greatly reduce, if not eliminate, the scope of error while sending the form. A few capabilities which we would like to mention are that organizations sometimes need multiple checkers to minimize the scope of error. And with information review, you can assign multiple checkers for an NeSL form. We do not send any data to NeSL, as Aditya just mentioned, before it has been reviewed and approved by a checker. Once the metadata form along with the document reaches NeSL, it is stored in the information utility. So it is imperative that the data filled in the form is reviewed before sending it to NeSL. Uh, Checkers are usually senior level employees of an organization. Such employees are generally swinging from one meeting to another, always having some work to be done. For them, reviewing a form while being very important is a secondary task. So they want to do it in between two tasks. Being able to review on their mobile device while commuting or between two meetings is the most ideal thing for them. So we have created a mobile friendly flow for such reviewers. All right, back to you, Aditya.
Great. Thanks so much, Ronit. So NeSL Reviewer is live right now. So if you want to start using it, we'll tell you how you can start using it and how you can reach out to us. If I'm not wrong, it is live right now, right? I mean, it is live. You showed it on screen. Great. So The second feature today, and this is our most in-demand feature from banks, is Leegality NeSL EBG, right? A way to digitally transform your bank guarantee process, right? I'm not going to go through this in much detail because you know this better than I, but the current bank guarantee process is largely physical, right? This increases the TAT. There's operational issues with that. Like it increases the TAT. The beneficiary actually has to wait for a much longer time for documents, but there are also serious legal issues with that, right? One is actually maintaining a repository of physical bank guarantees for retrieval later is quite challenging. And fourth is physical BGs can both get damaged easily, can get disputed easily, and there's a lot of litigation issues around actual enforcement of bank guarantees, right? So the idea of NESL EBG is to provide an unimpeachable single source of truth, a digital record of an EBG, and the ability to actually manage EBGs completely digitally, right? Digitally stamp them, automatically store them in the IU, sign them both via NESL or via Leegality to ensure that it gets executed when you send it. And of course, ultimately reduce the turnaround time and increase the enforceability. So let's dive into the product. I'll hand it over to Anshul, who will talk about a brief context behind the feature and will actually show you how the feature works on the dashboard. Over to you, Anshul.
Thank you, Aditya. Hi, everyone. I'm Anshul. I'm a product manager here at Leegality, and I welcome you all to our NESL webinar. So, to give you a brief context, so NESL started first with lending use cases, expanded to non-lending use cases like escrow accounts, locker agreements, etc., and eventually covered bank guarantees under their ambit. So, what are bank guarantees? Bank guarantee is an instrument issued by the bank where the bank agrees to stand a guarantee against non performance of some action or performance by a party. So, in bank guarantee, there are typically three types of participants that are there. So, first is an applicant. So, applicant is a party on whose behalf the bank is issuing the bank guarantee. Second is the issuing bank or creditor. So they issue the bank guarantee to the beneficiary and they are responsible in the cases where applicant defaults on or doesn't perform or there's non-performance that is there. Then third one is beneficiary. So beneficiary is the recipient of bank guarantees and they are the one who get benefited in case of a non-performance. So now let's take a use case so that we can follow a story and see how a bank guarantee can be issued. So in this use case, let's say I'm Anshul and I have a business engagement with an entity called ABC Corporation. So in a transaction, ABC Corporation demands a bank guarantee. So now what do? I go to a bank, I give them my request of a bank guarantee. So they perform a due diligence and after they are assured, they will issue a bank guarantee to ABC Corporation. So in this use case, I become the applicant or a debtor, as NESL calls it. The bank is the issuing bank or creditor and ABC Corporation is the beneficiary. So we'll start our story from the point where the bank has performed the due diligence and they're ready with a bank guarantee document. So let's see how the issuance flow would look like in this case. I'll present my screen. Okay. So this is Legality's dashboard. I'll sign in. So there are multiple ways that a document can be sent, a bank guarantee document can be sent. So one is via workflows and second is by running a new document. So the benefit of workflow is that you can set the repetitive information in one go. You can provide that information to the system while setting it up. And when you are sending the document, you don't have to fill the repetitive information again and again. You can simply add the required information and send the document right away. With new document, you have to start from the scratch and enter all the details. For all the clients who have API integration, as you already know that you can use APIs for both new document and workflow cases. So I'll click on this new document button. So this is where I upload the bank guarantee document as I was talking about. So I have the document ready. I can either upload the PDF or choose from a pre-configured template in my system. So I'll upload the document. So my bank guarantee document is ready. At this point, I need to toggle this particular point on, which is NESL's EBG flow. So this toggle needs to be on. So once this is on, I'm telling the system that this flow is an EBG flow. So I'm ready with this part. I've added the document. I have toggled this particular line item on, and now I'll click on next. So now that I have my document ready and the system knows that it is an EBG flow, I'll go ahead and add all the participants. So first, as you know, the market standard is that there are two bank employees, typically from a branch, that sign the bank guarantee document. So I'll first go ahead and add the creditor, as NESL calls the bank. So I'll add Anshul, who's a creditor here. Add their contact info. You can either add email or phone number. And I'll select the signature type. I would like to highlight at this point that this is the first time where you can use NESL just for the stamping purpose, and you can choose one of the options, multiple options that are available with Leegality for e-signing, like Aadhaar, virtual DSC, doc signer, etc. So the only stamping flow enables you to just get the stamping done from NESL, while you can choose other mode of signing which are available on Leegality. But for this use case, I'll select NESL e-sign because I want to show you that journey. So I've entered the details for Anshul, who's a creditor. And typically there are two people who sign from the bank, for the sake of simplicity and interest of time, I'm just adding one creditor. So creditor is done. As we had talked in the beginning, there are three parties who are involved: applicant, beneficiary, and bank. So the bank or creditor is already added. Now we'll add the information for applicant and beneficiary. So now I know that most of you already are aware that in market, only the bank signs. Applicant and beneficiary, they do not sign. But NESL is not just enabling you to e-sign the document, it is also acting like a central repository for all the information. So they require this information to be uploaded. So what do I do? So here NESL has resolved, and what we are bringing again for the first time is that two parties can be added. The information can be passed, but they do not require to sign the document. So in this screen, I was adding my signers, but to add that applicant and beneficiary, I just need to here toggle this particular option on and add two. So two here stands for applicant and beneficiary. So NESL parties here, legality gives you the option to add non-signing parties. So I've added two here to account for applicant and beneficiary. So applicant and beneficiary are here, and creditor is added like this here. At this point, you can add reviewer, as Ronit was showing you. You can simply add one more reviewer and add it on top of this, and you can have your reviewing journey here in EBG as well. So we are ready with our actors, we are ready with our participants, creditor, beneficiary, applicant, all those information pointers ready. Now we need to fill the information that NESL requires. So we are ready. I'll click on next. So here I'll go ahead and show you the dashboard form as Ronit was showing you. It is slightly different for EBG, wherein you have fields like events, where you need to select event, one of these events, issuance, amendment, partial invocation, cancellation, etc. You have to also give a loan number, which is a unique number through which you can a particular bank guarantee can be referred to. And there are multiple ways that this information can be added and sent to NESL. So number one is, if you have API integration, you don't need to worry about it. You can just get the information from your system and pass it through API. Simple as that. Second is, I can go ahead and fill this form. So all the validations are in place. As you can see, I had not selected the event and it is mandatory, so it is giving me that kind of validation. So you can go ahead and fill this form. Alternatively, to make the task easier, you can also upload an Excel file. So typically this information comes from a core banking system or your lead management. So you can extract that information and transform it in an Excel and upload that. So let me show you that Excel. So this is the Excel where I have already added this information. So you can see the stamp duty is here, invitee is added. I can also see the parties who are there. So Anshul as beneficiary is also added. So this is an Excel that can be used to upload the information. So I'll go ahead and upload an Excel file so that the chances of errors are reduced and I don't need to manually add those values again. So I uploaded that Excel, and now you will see there are certain points that are highlighted in red. So though the information is entirely filled, I can see now that event is issuance, state is Andhra Pradesh, sanction amount is this and all of that. But there are still some areas which are marked in red. That is because we know that while you're filling this information, there are a lot of chances where the information is not as per that is required. So we have put in the validations consciously on this page. So first of all, let's see loan number. So loan number is required in EBG as a unique number through which this bank guarantee would be referred to throughout the events. For example, when you are amending this or canceling this, you need to provide this loan number, which is the unique loan number that is there. So now I'll go ahead and add a unique number. Now I can see the other details if it is everything is fine, and I can see the sanction amount is there, fund type is there, expiry date and claim expiry date is there. I'll also see stamping details, and this is the stamping details. Please note that this will appear on this on the stamp when it is affixed on top of the document. So I also need to look at this very clearly. I can see the first party is Anshul creditor 1 and second party is Anshul beneficiary. The stamp duty amount is 500. So I can see all of that. Now let's see what is happening in invitee section. So invitees are the participants who are going to sign. Parties are the participants who are merely going to get the information, and their information will be submitted to the NeSL IU. So I will recheck the information. So I see the mobile number is not provided. So I'll go ahead and add the mobile number. I'll also add my email ID so that I receive the information and I can show it to you. So this creditor is added, the mobile number, legal constitution. So this is the PAN number that you get from, whenever you register with NeSL, they add your PAN number in their registry. So when you are making these calls, they validate and categorize your request based on the PAN number. So this is also added here. In party section, I can add debtor. This is basically applicant. So the contract relationship is debtor. I'll change the email ID here, add my mobile number. And similarly, I'll do the same thing for beneficiary. So earlier, all the information points were required while you are filling beneficiary, but as per market standard, you might not know all the information about a beneficiary. So you don't need to add their information points like registered address, PIN code, all of that is marked as non-mandatory. So those kind of updates are also taken care of. So I'll go ahead and add the details. So I have everything ready. Let's take a look. So I've selected bank guarantee as my registration type. I have document details where I provide the loan number and other things. In stamp section, I provide the stamp details. In invitees, I have added the creditor details. In party, I have added the debtor and beneficiary details. So all of this looks good. So I'm ready to submit this form. So I'll click on submit form. And I land on this third finalize section. So I just preview the document here and see if everything is as per I require. And once I'm satisfied, I'll click on send. So now the document is sent. Now I see the document on my left hand side. I see that there's only one signer. So I see Anshul creditor here, and this request is now being processed by NeSL. So let's see if the request is finalized. So as you can see, now it is active for me to sign. So I can sign the document from here, and let's take a look how the signing journey would look like for a creditor and what will happen next. So the sending part is done. Let's move to the next part. So I'll go to my inbox. I'll refresh. So I have received a notification from Leegality. At this point, you can also note that I am in this email is branded with the client branding requirements. A logo is there. The brand colors are also here. So this email is branded. So the signer knows that where they are getting this info, where they are getting this email from. So I got this that hi Anshul creditor, this sender has invited you to sign this bank guarantee. So I click on this button called sign, and now I'm taken to the NeSL signing page. So first step of this signing journey is authentication. So when I land on NeSL page, I'll first authenticate using CAPTCHA, which is here. So I'll add this CAPTCHA. And I'll request an OTP. So OTP is sent to both the number and email that was provided while we were filling the form. So I'll wait for an OTP. So I received the OTP. I click on verify. Okay, let me recheck it again. Let me request it. Okay, so we are through. So authentication is done. Now as a signer, I'll first review the document. So this was the bank guarantee that was there. I'll first review it and I'll scroll. And when I scroll down, I have reviewed the agreement. I click on I agree. Now, now the stamping process starts. As you can see, all the details that I had filled on that NESL form, they are available here. So Anshul creditor was was the first party, second party was Anshul beneficiary, stamp duty was 500. So all of this information is coming from that form that we had filled. So I click on proceed with e-stamp. So this is the stamp that has gotten generated. It also contains the same information. First party Anshul creditor 1, second party Anshul beneficiary, stamp duty will be paid by creditor, stamp duty amount is 500. So all of that information is now present, and I have scrolled down to see if everything is in place. And you'll also notice that this stamp is affixed on top of my bank guarantee document. So everything looks fine. So I'll scroll down and I click on close. So as you can see, the stamp process is now successful. So once my authentication is done, my stamping process is done. Now I'll go to the e-signing part of it. So I'll first give the consent for e-sign. And here I have 3 ways of signing the document. I'll select OTP based e-signing and click on this button, which is e-sign. So now I'm taken to an ESP page where I'll be providing my Aadhaar number and get the signing done using the OTP. So I'll enter my Aadhaar number. Since I've added it, I'll click on get OTP. Now I'll be receiving OTP on a number which is linked with this Aadhaar. So I'll wait for the OTP to come. Received it. Check this consent box and click on submit. So once the OTP is verified, now the document is getting digitally signed. So this completes the process. So the authentication was done, stamping process was done, and now the signing is also done. So as you can see, it says that document is signed. So here, let's see how this page looks like for the sender. They will see that it is successfully signed. And here, please note that the document also now has changed. So here the stamp is affixed on top of the document and the sign also appears here. So this completes the signing journey for a creditor. Now, as I had mentioned that there are 2 other participants also apart from just the creditor, which was applicant and beneficiary. Let's see what notifications do they receive from NESL side. So I had given my own email ID for them. So I've received bunch of emails from NESL. So this is the acknowledgement notification which NESL has sent to the creditor. There they say that I can download the link using download the document using this link. And similarly, other participants like debtor, which was an applicant, they have also received the notification from NESL side where they can see all the information that was provided, a summary of it, which is who was the issuing bank, what is the expiry date, claim expiry date, who was the applicant, who was the beneficiary, the PAN is masked here. So all this information is sent to both the debtor and beneficiary. So this information is also sent to the beneficiary. And applicant and beneficiary can go to NESL IU portal and take further action if they want to. So this is how you can issue a bank guarantee. So this covers the part where I wanted to show you how bank guarantees can be issued, and if you want to amend them, you can go through the same flow. Just select event type as amendment, you can amend it, cancel it, and so on and so forth. So this is how the journey would look like if you want to use the bank guarantee. That covers the demo. Back to you, Aditya.
Great. Thanks so much, Anshul. So that was the EBG demo. I think, as Anshul mentioned, we showed you just a sliver of it. If you notice the other types of events, you can manage through it. Essentially, this is not like the usual NESL flow or even the non-NESL legality flow. It's essentially a product to digitally manage your entire EBG process, not just issuance. But of course, for the purpose of the demo, we showed you issuance just to give you a clear idea. But there are a lot of things you can do with EBGs digitally through this product. And we, as Anshul showed you, we built a front end for you to actually manage this. Great. So we're done with the two weighty demos of today, the new feature reviewer and NESL EBG. Now we want to come to two smaller updates in scope, but probably large updates in terms of how they actually impact your use cases on the ground, right? The first one is using NESL for non-lending use cases. For that, I'll hand it over to Ronit.
Thank you, Aditya. If you are a bank that is using NESL for lending, or if you are an organization that is exploring NESL flow via Leegality, it is important to know that NESL not only provides support for lending and EBG, but also supports a variety of use cases other than lending. We are calling these use cases as non-lending, given the variety of use cases that can be covered. For banks, the some of the most common use cases can be escrow agreements, locker agreements, vendor onboardings, and a lot more. The main advantage of non-lending flow over the traditional process is the ability to do real-time e-stamp generation for a particular agreement. Let us just dive into how non-lending flow works. Let me share my screen. All right, is my screen visible?
Yes, Ronit, it is.
All right. So let us just go through a new document flow for non-lending. Here I'll be uploading a sample locker agreement. So I've uploaded a locker agreement. I click on next. I'll be adding one NESL signer in this step. Let me change the signature type to NESL. Save. Now I click on next. Here I get the option to either proceed with dashboard filling or upload Excel. As Anshul had previously mentioned, I'll be uploading an Excel to fast track this process. And I click on upload. Now, in this particular NESL form, we have added validations for each field so that you do not send any incorrect information which can be rejected by NESL. In case a form does not comply with the validation set by NESL, NESL will reject the document, and you, as the sender, would need to fill a new form and send the document out again. This can be very time consuming. This is why we have added each validation in the NESL form so that you send out the appropriate form. Let us take a look at some of the validations added to this particular form. An easy one would be consider document reference number. You can only NESL only allows alphanumeric characters to be added in document reference number. So if I add any special characters, I will get uh, such an error, such a subscript error, and I won't be able to proceed with submitting the form. All right. A fairly complex validation would be if a signer signing on behalf of an organization, if a signer is signing on behalf of an organization, then their legal constitution would be public limited or private limited. And if a signer is signing on behalf of of an organization, the organization's official document ID or PAN number should be added over here. And PAN number of an organization must always have the fourth letter of CNE. So you cannot proceed without having the appropriate PAN number in this particular field. So let me just change this back to resident individual, since individuals can have PAN numbers fourth letter as P. And now that I can see that there are no errors in this form, I can click on submit form. Please note that error validations in the form have also been added to API flows. So sending out this document. All right.
Great.
Just refreshing the status. All right. So as you can see, this document has been successfully sent via NESL. The signing journey of non-lending flow is very similar to that of EBG flow, which Anshul showed just now. So in interest of time, we can skip the signing journey of non-lending flow.
Great.
Back to you, Aditya.
Thanks so much, Ronit. So as you can see, non-lending is simply a matter of toggling that non-lending tick at the beginning of the form. Everything else is the same. Uploading the Excel file to populate it, manually filling it. You can add a reviewer to it. You can do this via API as well. And the validations that Ronit mentioned have been built into the form are a further check to ensure that you're sending the correct data. Just to clarify, the validations Ronit showed you, he showed you now for non-lending, but those validations are available for lending use cases via NESL as well. So now let's come to the final part of the showcase, which is API, right? So we've showed you how you can use it through the front end. A lot of our clients are using it through the front end. But if you're looking at a medium to long-term horizon, let's say a few years down the line, and a lot of you are looking at it now as well, you would want an API integration when you're doing it at scale, right? So the last set of updates are for that basket of use cases, ones that are happening through API integration. So there are two we'll be talking about today. One is a API update that helps you get notified about the exact error known as error webhooks. The second is a new retry API that allows you to re-trigger execution of the document automatically. So Ronit, tell us about how both of these updates will actually make a difference.
All right. So with these updates, we aim to improve the experience of an API flow via NESL by providing additional functionalities to enhance the speed and ease with which an API flow of NESL works. Let us first start with NESL error webhook. We have added a webhook notification to inform the bank if there is any error uh, in your NESL journey. Previously, if you received an error in a transaction, there were two ways to know whether an error has occurred, both involving a manual leg. One way was to get notified from the signer that they aren't able to move ahead with signing. And the other way was to check the details page for each document to find out if an error has occurred. So as you can see, this was the current TDS process, which was an 8-step process. We have created a framework to simplify this process and take it from a 8-step process involving a manual leg to a 3-step process, which is completely automated. So next slide, please. This is the webhook structure that you can see on the screen, which we'll be sending you out in case there is an error. The way the error webhook will work is if a sender triggers a transaction via API and NESL returns an error, we will send an error in the form of a webhook notification. In case the signer faces an error while signing a document due to any issues such as UIDAI downtime, even then we'll be sending an error webhook notification. So in this payload visible on the screen, there are three parameters to take a note of. First one is the code. This is the parameter in which we'll be sending the error code we receive from NESL in the webhook notification. The second one is the message. This is the parameter which we will be sending, where we'll be sending a description of the error code which we've received. And lastly, the error parameter at the bottom. In this parameter, we'll be describing the nature of the error. We also mention in this parameter if retrying is allowed. So knowing the error is not enough. Showing the error and telling you that you've received the error is only 50% of the job. We also need to tell you what to do next, which is where retry API comes in. So moving to the next upgrade in Legality's NESL suite. One of the major problems while with integration can be network issues affecting server-to-server connection. This can result in a request not being sent successfully and an error response from NESL. Normally, in such scenarios, you would need to make another API call to create a new NESL document. This will involve passing the details of the document, loan and stamp, and details of each invitees all over again. This can be a redundant effort since you would need to pass up to 70 parameters required by NESL again. To account for such errors, we have created a retry API of NESL to retrigger such transactions by passing only the document ID for which this error has occurred. So you can simply consume this API and pass the document ID or transaction ID. At the backend, Leegality will fetch all the details pertaining to the document ID passed by you. Then Leegality will trigger an eSign request to NESL. And in response to this API, you would receive information on whether the document has been successfully created or not. All right. So the last part of this is combining the error webhook and retry API, which gives you the true power of automation. By using a combination of the error webhook along with retry API, you can completely automate error handling of errors due to network issues. Let's consider that you get a network error while sending out a document. Using the error webhook, Leegality notifies you that there has been an error. After receiving a notification via this webhook, you can automatically trigger a retry API for that particular document to re-trigger the document back to NESL. And in response to this API, you receive a success. This way, you can automate entire error handling via the error webhook and the retry API. Back to you, Aditya.
I was on mute. Thanks so much, Ronit. Thanks so much, Anshul. I think so. We've covered all four things we wanted to cover today: NESL Reviewer, NESL EBG, NESL for non-lending, and two very key updates to our NESL API. Just want to again thank Anshul and Ronit for making time for this, and wanted to thank you all for attending as well. If you have any questions, we'll be throwing open the floor for an open Q&A. So you can either ask the question in the Q&A box below, or you can raise your hand and we'll give you mic access to ask questions. Just before that, a small 20-second update. If you want to stay in the loop about new features from Leegality, new updates from Leegality, new case studies, right? You can sign up for our Leegality updates facility on either WhatsApp or email, right? Simply scan this QR code right now. We'll also send this QR code and a registration link in the email with the recording that you'll receive right after this webinar within the next 24 to 36 hours, right? Scan this QR code. We don't spam you. I think at best we give an update once a week. Sometimes if there's an event, it might be twice a week. Again, it's just a very useful way to keep in touch with what we're up to. Keep in touch with features that can actually help you solve problems that you're facing in the day-to-day, right? Because we got a lot of feedback from clients that, look, you had this feature for 6 months. It's exactly what we wanted to solve the problem, but we didn't really know about it. So this is an attempt to plug that gap. We are not going to crowd your WhatsApp inbox or email inbox. We're going to send you very key actionable updates about Leegality. So please scan this QR code if you want regular updates about what features have launched or any new case studies or any industry and regulatory updates that could affect both your documentation flow and other flows, right? So scan this QR code if you want that. Now over to questions. So if anyone has any questions, please ask in the box below or please raise your hand and I'll give you mic access. All right, we'll just give it 2 more minutes. Right. So one question is, this is for you, Anshul. Is NESL EBG ready to use right away? And are all the events possible on NESL EBG right away?
Right. So, yeah, it is available for use. We are already live on production, and all the events can be used. Currently, you are required to upload a document and then have it signed. So, even for the events like cancellation invocation, so you can use the flow, and you just need to change that event type to whatever event that you want to use.
Great. All right, so we just give it 1 more minute. And if there are no further questions, then we'll close the webinar for today. Again, scan this QR code on screen right now if you want to stay up to date with latest product updates, latest case studies, and latest industry or regulatory updates that could impact your document flows. Please scan this QR code. If you have any questions subsequently, or if you want to start using these features, right, do reach out to us. You can contact, if you're an existing Leegality customer, you can contact your Leegality customer success manager directly on your regular communication channels. Just drop a line to them saying, hey, I saw this in the webinar and I want to start using it. They'll be happy to kind of show you a much more detailed, much deeper demo, one-on-one individualized demo, and help you get started with the feature. So please do that if you're an existing Leegality customer. If you are a Leegality customer but have not started using us on NESL, again, reach out to your customer success manager. If you're not a Leegality customer, you can reach out to us on our website. There's a form. So just go to leegality.com. There's a form there. You can reach out to us and we'll get back to you and we'll help you get set up and live with this as soon as possible. So 3 ways to get in touch with us. 2 ways to get in touch with us if you're a customer who are your customer success manager. If you're not, you can use our website form. There's also an email ID you can directly email if you don't like forms, if you don't want to fill forms. If for some reason as a customer, you don't want to talk to your customer success manager, it's inquiry@leegality.com, which I am going to just drop in the chat box below. Yeah. Inquiry@leegality.com. So I think there are no further questions. I'll just leave this QR code on screen. I'll let you take down the email in the chat box, and I think then we'll close the webinar. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending. And thanks, Anshul and Ronit, for making time, and excited to see what's next on the roadmap.